Share the richness and beauty of our diverse community of beliefs, customs and practices in the wonderful city of Toowoomba. Voices of Faith will inspire and uplift you and may even change your life. Tune to 102.7 FM each Sunday and Friday night from 6 for Voices of Faith, sponsored by Pure Land Learning College Association, and give them your comments by emailing them on mfmcc.pllc@gmail.com. They look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome everybody to my podcast, Big Little Small Talk. I'm Megan O'Hara-Sullivan and I love to talk, but I also love to listen. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome to Big Little Small Talk, listeners. My name's Megan O'Hara-Sullivan and I'm with Haniff Abdul Razak, who tells me just as I'm about to start and press the start button that that's not really his name. Welcome to Big Little Small Talk, Haniff, as I know you. So what is your name really?
Oh, my name is Muhammed Haniff Abdul Razak. You see, because we all have a name, a given name, and that's the thing about sometimes your culture. Abdul Razak actually means son of, or is your surname. So that's how I am, And if you ask me things like in 3 words what I am, I would prefer to be called Haniff because I'm very comfortable with that. And most people are comfortable. Almost everybody here calls me Haniff. Very rare people call me Razak. People call me Muhammad. So I'll go with that and I'll settle with that.
We'll settle with Haniff. Haniff, you've obviously got an accent. Where is your country of origin?
Well, I originally come from Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was born in Singapore. I worked in Singapore until 2003, because my daughters wanted to study in Australia, so we went to Perth. So I spent a lot of my time in Perth until I come to Toowoomba in beginning of 2008, but I settled more on 2010. And until today, I'm here in Toowoomba.
All right. We'll go back to your childhood a little bit later on, Haniff. What are you doing here in Toowoomba?
I come here to help out the Venerable Master Chin Kong, who is the president and the founder of Pure Land Learning College. He wanted somebody to help him to set up a multi-faith and multicultural center. That is part of my work that I've been doing in Singapore. That's very much on my forte, dealing with community, working with leaders, traditional culture, etc. So he wanted me to help him to set up that center, which I feel most honored, being it's a Buddhist center, and by my name, I'm a Muslim, and that he put so much of trust and confidence in me, and he felt that I could help him to do that job, and which I have no regrets by starting it. And there you are, we have the office started from 2010 when I first came here, and until today it's still functioning as, and we are progressing, we are moving ahead.
Mm. So Haniff, it's such a juxtaposition, but almost perfect as well, that you're Muslim, you're setting up a Buddhist centre in regional Australia. Let's go back a little step and tell me who the Venerable Master Chin Kong is.
The Master Chin Kong, he's a scholar, he's a teacher, he's also the founder of the Pure Land Learning College Buddhism. Buddhist, they call it the Pure Land Buddhism. You see, in Buddhism, I'm not all that expert in Buddhism, you generally have the Mahayana and the Theravada. In the Mahayana itself, you have different denominations, just like Christianity. You have Lutherans, you have Anglicans, you have Catholics, you have, Uniting Church, and so forth. So it's the same thing with the Buddhism. So it's part of that central, but it goes with the same teaching. It applies with the same sutra. It takes Buddha as the teacher, and it goes along the same line. It's just that his teaching of Pure Land Buddhism is very much on simplified, where one of the things that he encourages all his disciple followers is to chant. He doesn't want to make it so difficult, just like listen to the lectures, do what you need to do, follow this certain set principles, one of those things that he teaches them, like the 4 decimal principles, I would say, the principles of sharing, the principles of kind words, principles of beneficial act. In other words, do something that will benefit society, benefit community, and cooperation. So it's all encompasses into his teachings. And one of the things that he wants them to do is chanting. Just like we have hymns in the church. So for him is to chant the word Amitofo. Amitofo literally means the enlightened one. So he wants you to reach that level so that once you are there, you associate yourself with all the good values and virtues. So that's generally, in a nutshell, it's all about Pure Land Buddhism. But of course, you can go deeper than that. Like I said, there is this sutra, there is a lot of books that he has written. So he's somebody, I would say that he's somebody, a very philanthropist. He has a heart for everybody because he believes in all religion, and he believes that to be if you want to be, he always tell everyone, if you want to be a Muslim, be the best Muslim. If you want to be a Christian, be the best Christian. If you want to be a Hindu, be the best Hindu. So the same thing applies to his teachings. If you want to be a good Buddhist, then be a good Buddhist. If you want you embrace Buddhism, then be a good Buddhist. So I think he has done a lot in the sense he has got a very warm and big heart. He doesn't see people. He doesn't judge people. He sees everyone with respect, and he sees everyone as part of the whole community, as part of the big family. And that is why I think not so much about promoting. I think the community here knows him very well, and he has supported a lot in terms of working with the community, cooperating with the community, and supporting in areas where he feels that will benefit the society.
So, Haniff, why did the master want to come to Toowoomba?
This is very interesting because this is one question which, in fact, when I first met him, I did ask him. I said, why do you choose Toowoomba, Well, of course, sometimes people of this level, counselor, I may be wrong, they have certain wisdom in them, because they have reached that level. See, it's just like you get the Pope, and etc. Their wisdom is different. The way they see things are ahead of what you and I. So I didn't ask him casually. I said, Master Ching Kung, why do you choose Toowoomba? What is there in Toowoomba, Well, he says that he was in Brisbane, where he initially settled. Then somebody suggested to drive up. So when he drove up the range, he sees an air of sort of harmony. He feels that, hey, this is a good place, a good place for family, good place for learning, good place to bring people together. He get that sense. That's what he says. So when he passes incidentally, and then he saw the Presbyterian church where Pure Land is today, and that church was put up for sale. So he suggested, and he said, why don't we go and ask them whether they want to sell that church, whether we can buy over. And it works. And that's where he sets up the Pure Land. And I think he's very visionary. And I can see that if you look at Toowoomba, I think we are one of the blessed cities. Well, we do have issues. Every city has issues, But if you think in terms of the community support, in terms of the establishment here that are working and helping the community, I think there are many of them. Look at Lifeline, look at the Anglican churches, look at the Catholic Care. Everybody is helping, and they don't worry who they help. They don't go for, all right, you are you come from one custom, one country, I'm sorry I can't help you. No. I think you walk to any of these places, they will always be there to help you. So I think if you look at it, these are some of the benefits. And of course, I think he could sense that, and he felt that this is a wonderful city. Let's set up our base here. Let's set up something that we can work with the community.
So Pure Land is quite famous because, and my understanding, Haniff, is that you were charged with building Toowoomba into a multicultural model city of peace and harmony. And the sort of the charter was, we hope to set up a model city of peace and harmony where people genuinely respect and care for one another and work and cooperate in unity. And we like to show the whole world that the harmonious society with multi-ethnicity, multiculturalism and multi-faith harmony is achievable. Why was that so important to the Venerable?
To the Master.
To the Master.
Oh yes, because that's his vision. You know, that first of all, Pure Land is not famous. Pure Land, like I said, the Master is very appreciative that you see the wider community accept the Buddhists here when he first set up, and he had no problems with them. You know, and well, initially there were some small issues because they don't know him, they don't understand what is this center up to, what are you doing, you know. Why do you buy this place? But as it goes along, he started a few programs, one of which was, his icon was the friendship dinner, where he brought people together. And I think that sparked off a lot of things. People come to a space that is, they find that is safe, they can talk, they're not hurt, nobody is going to hurt them, they're going to go back happy. So, I think there were some good things that he saw here. Besides that community that he sees. Early on, like he has relationship with the primary school, the Catholic school there, just across the road, Holy Name. And then he has good vibes, relationship with the hospice. He has good relationship with the hospital. So he sees that everybody has this central idea of, let's make this city a better place. Let's make it a harmonious city. And I think we can. I won't say we can claim it, but I think we can say that it is moving towards that direction. And I think the council picked up a very good point under our previous mayor, Paul Antonio. I think that's where we started, that Toowoomba is recognized as a refugee welcome zone. Now, nobody wants to come here and go through another trauma, right? And I think if you look at the general community, nobody complains. Nobody say, no, we don't want them. They are not people of our time. Nobody says that. Well, issues will be there in any way, settling and all that. But if you look at all these are the things that build that. We have the ingredients, you know. We have that to make this a city of peace and harmony. It's a question of, it's work in progress. It's a question of getting more people to understand, more people to accept. And I think to start off with, the first people that support us is the council, you know, under Mayor Paul, you know. I think when we wanted to have this, he endorsed this. You know, he traveled with us to UNESCO Paris to present why he feels Toowoomba is the right place. And I think that gives an inspiration. And obviously after that, groups follow up, like right now. See, we are very comfortable, you know. We established the Goodwill Committee, which has the support of the council, the police, the education, the community. And then under the leadership of Bishop Cameron, we started that Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group. Well, we started with five denominations, 5 faith groups, but today we have 19.
19?
19. And everybody can sit down together. It doesn't matter, you are from that church, I'm from here, I'm a Muslim, you are a Hindu, you're a Buddhist, but hey, no, put that aside. We are human beings. We're one human race. This is our city. Let's keep this city good for our children and our grandchildren. And I think that's the beauty. And a lot have been achieved from that Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group under Bishop Cam. Things like we even have come out with that 360 scripture of the 10 major religions. We have the Baha'i, the Muslims, the Hindu, the Zoroastrian, the Taoists, you know, the Christians and all that. And everybody is sharing that. So if you look at it, it's a question of, you have that ingredients. It's just like, you have the ingredients to cook, then you start cooking it, you know, and you get a beautiful meal. So this is what's happening. And also we have now the youth coming in. You see, we are very fortunate that the youth, we are very inspired by them. They have started that youth group. And I think if you look at some of our youth who are refugees, but I tell you, they're doing well today. One example is like you have the Fatima area, you have Masha. Masha today is doing well, got a scholarship, and she's also an intern with ABC. She got a temp intern. I think we are proud of her, She's part of us. And so is this wonderful lady, Sophie Ryan. I don't know whether she started with us as year 11. Today, she graduated from Oxford, and today she's an international lawyer. She's stationed in Germany. Hey, she's a product to Toowoomba,
So Haniff, I wanted to ask you, you said you established this multi-faith working group, and I guess you sort of almost answered my question there. I wanted to know, how did that go outside people of religion? How did you reach the mum and dad shopping at Wilsonton, and how did you change the lives, or how are you wanting to change the lives of Indigenous people in Toowoomba, or the youth who seem to be so lost and so sort of, there's so much about youth crime, and like, how are you kind of changing the fabric of Toowoomba?
We can't actually change people overnight, but if you look at, even we set up all this committee. Anyway, we also have the Indigenous committee, the Garable committee. No, the platform is, all the events initiative has to be generated, driven by them, because we don't impose. I think that is one of the things that in principles one must learn. We don't tell them that this is what we want. All right? It's just that, how do we start this interfaith group? This is where I have to give the credit to Reverend Dorothy Woodside, She's from the Spiritualist Church. It's just that she formed one small group and said, let's meet fortnight over a cup of coffee and tea, which is at the university. We met at the uni, and we just talk. We just talk about subjects of, hey, what's happening? Why is this happening? And somebody there mooted the idea and say, look, hey, this is good. Why don't we sort of formalize a team? Why don't we formalize a committee? You see? So the uni gave us some support, initiated some movements, and then finally the group became a bit bigger. From 5, we became about 10 to 11. So it's their agenda. It's not our agenda. You see, you can't say that this is what I want in my city. No. All right? What would you like in your city? So it's the same thing we tell. Then they move, they say, look, hey, why don't we formalize a faith group? Why don't we formalize a proper working group? Let's sit down, let's have a term of reference, let's organize ourselves what we need to do. All right? Not that the Pure Land tells them what to do. So I think that's one way, that's how we reach out to them. And by reaching out, that's where their programs, all the programs, are community-driven and open to the community. It's just like we have a radio program that is every Friday and Sunday. So we tell, okay, you have something to speak, this is your call. You speak. But there are certain guidelines like, okay, use the language that is proper language, respectable, do not demean another organization or another group. You tell all about your culture. It's okay. Tell people that, oh, I come from a country where the women are conservative, all right? You don't shake hands with me because it's not allowed until I say yes. That's good, all right. People will know. See, so what I see now is, it is growing. This is growing in that everyone wants to know a little bit more of each other and understanding, which is good. Now look at that. Pastoral care, an excellent example, all right? Through the hard work of Bishop Robert, who is retired, and Bishop Cam, that pastoral care now caters for all religion. You see? And anytime they want any help, cultural thing, which we had recently, there were some cultural issues, and then they call us up, and then we sit down and say, hey, look, the idea is, let's go into a dialogue, let's go into a conversation. What is the issue? Let's work on the issue and don't expand on the issue. And I think we did that well. So these are some examples. And another example is, I think, under the leadership of Shirley Ann. Of course, she has left the hospital. She set up that multicultural group in the hospital. you know, so that people understand. Because it's just like some women, mainly maybe from Middle East countries, you know, they're not comfortable to be seen by a male doctor. But now the hospital knows and asks them, okay, so-and-so is going to treat you. Are you comfortable, or would you prefer somebody else? So that makes things better for everyone. So that's what I meant is, because of that spread of that, hey, things are good, people tend to be more involved, and people are beginning to listen more. It's just like easier to talk to the hospital today. I don't know about maybe 10, 20 years ago. I can't say that.
Well, I'll just remind the listeners that you're with me, Megan O'Hara-Sullivan, and we're on Big Little Small Talk, and we're talking to Haniff Abdul Razak. I forgot the Muhammad. So, Haniff, listening to your purpose and your vision for Pure Land being here in Toowoomba, it's mostly about education, or
yes,
and I gather from what I have read about the teachings of Buddha, and you mentioned them before, the practice of giving, kind words, beneficial acts, and cooperation. Tell me, you started to talk before about the Saturday night dinner. Just tell listeners who have never been to the dinner just how huge that got. I don't know whether it started back up after COVID, and what it was, and who could come, and what it cost them.
Okay, we're going to start the dinner again after the New Year, because we were not quite certain, because we were concerned that because the dinner is an open thing, we don't restrict, so we were worried that we can't cope up with the numbers. So we are working out something to put into place, a system. Now I tell you what, Councillor, the dinner is beautiful because it's complimentary. Everyone can come in, you have a meal, and then before that, of course, we ask who would like to speak, you know. That's already being planned. So somebody will say, like we had somebody says that, oh, I want to tell you about my country, you know. What is it about? I want to tell you about Korea. So we said, all right, share with them whatever your story is, and let them know you in that process. So it went very well. And I think, which is very funny, because it actually connects a lot of people together. And we realized that some of those people in the committee working group, actually they met at the dinner. See, that's how we got to know them. You see, one good example, for example, now, we are working very closely with Dr. Guma Kumar, you know. She started coming to the dinner, and today she is the chair of the Peace Committee in Toowoomba. Where does it start? It starts from there. Something blooms from there.
And what sort of numbers were you up to prior to COVID?
Oh, prior, we get about 150. And I have another interesting to tell you. One day I've got two couples coming to me and said, we're going to get married. Huh? I say, oh, no wonder you all been sitting on the same table. So what do you want me to do? Oh, we want you to be present at the church. Oh, sure. You see the kind of things that bloom from there, you know? So I thought it was quite humorous. I was thinking, I said, oh, Paul, no wonder I've seen, his name is Paul. I've seen you been sitting together and talking. And one day he said, hey, honey, we're going to get married, you know.
So it's a matchmaking service as well.
I don't know, you're not supposed to be.
Good to know.
But it turns out like that.
Not it's Haniff, can you talk about your commitment to the Toowoomba Hospital and your generosity through the Hospital Foundation, please?
All right, I think, I can share a little bit, but the credit it has to come from the wisdom of the Master, because he feels that the Toowoomba Hospital Foundation is doing an excellent job. And one of the things that they were doing is this research program. I mean, if you look around today, it's because of research that we are all living longer, we have better treatment, you know, we are attended to well. So he strongly felt that there's something that goes with what he says about beneficial act. So since he came here from 2001, he has been supporting the medical research program, and he wants to continue it. And even before his demise, that's what I understand from the Venerables, he said this has to go on, because he has seen so much of benefit, because every year they gave him a briefing of what is happening, what research, what development, what has been achieved. So that's how it continues.
Are you able to, I don't know whether you feel comfortable disclosing how much money you give to the hospital foundation?
Well, it's okay. It's not so much that. Yeah, we gave them about $120,000. And it's given to them to say, hey, look, that money you manage it, you know? Because the master has already told us, don't ask them for any accounts. He doesn't believe in that. He works strictly on trust, confidence. Work on that. He says, look, you manage it. You decide how many research program you want to do. If you want to do it here, this, that, whatever, or additional you take for something, go ahead. As long as you account for it and you don't have to report to us. I think that's what he said, and that's what we have to do. That is why we told the hospital, look, that is how you work on it.
So that's to do research and to buy equipment for the
whatever they did, the hospital has to decide, you know.
$120,000 a year, which is incredible. Tell me about the scholarships at Uni SQ.
Oh yeah, that's quite interesting because well, maybe I was a little bit too imposing on the uni because I told them, I said, look, hey, why don't we start a scholarship, you know, endowment policy, but strictly for indigenous, all right, strictly for indigenous. So I says, we need to do something about that. So I was very glad. I think the uni is moving very well in terms of education. It's not about taking students, but I think the uni is also looking at giving back to society, giving back. And I think they have a wonderful leadership. The current leadership now, the uni, I think I must give them much credit, and I find it's easy to work with them, and they agree. So, and I think maybe they are not comfortable to mention about the amount, but they were generous enough to say, look, so I told them, all right, if I put $1, how much can you put, you know? And they say, okay, we put $2. Hey, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I thought they were very, very generous. So and they were serious about it. You know?
It's creating those sort of building blocks, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
Hanif, I hope this doesn't sound like a disrespectful question. Where does the money come from?
All right. The money comes mainly from our donors and our benefactors, which the master has sort of... See, the master has built that trust and relationship. So they are comfortable to say, okay, we give you the money, we know the money goes where. You know, we know that you're going to spend for a cause, for the community, like I say, based on that 4 principles, the spirit of sharing. So it mainly comes from the benefactors.
And these are benefactors whereabouts?
It's all over the world. All over.
Right.
We have from Malaysia, from Singapore, from China, from Hong Kong, everywhere. So even from Toowoomba themselves, you know, we have people who say, hey, look, we like your program, we like what you're doing. I don't have much, you know, but this is what I can offer. They give. So that money is all being managed very, very well by our finance, you know, and it's given according to what he feels should be allocated. It's just like, hey, this 120,000 should go to the hospital foundation. That's it for the hospital. All right, you cannot take 20,000 and give somebody else. No. Because that's what he's, and that adds on to even the hospice. We're giving the hospice the same amount every year, you know, but because we feel that they're doing a wonderful job. They're doing something about humanity, real people towards the end of their life, you know. People to be respected, people want some decency, people want a place, you know. So that's another place that he wants to continue to support them.
I mean, I would imagine because you've not only all of that, but now we've got the old Westbrook prison is now a campus from kindergarten, which will eventually go through to university. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yes, we are starting with you know, it's going to be a big project. Well, counselor, you know, it's not something. It's very difficult to turn correctional center into a proper education center. Oh, that's a lot of work. Removing all the barriers and all that. But put that aside. Yeah, we started with the kindergarten. We started with a primary school first. And then the vision is to reach up to that level later. You don't start overnight, you know. So before that, we consulted a few schools, a few institutions, and they shared their same stories where they say they started with only 2 classes and they are what today. So we hope from there to go. But the place is bringing up very well, coming up well. And for the education, we are exceptionally fortunate. We have Mary Ann Posse, who's the principal. No, I think she's a wonderful lady. She
listeners
retired.
might remember Mary Ann was the principal at St Ursula's for a long
and
time.
then she willingly says, okay, you know. I think she'll be happy to retire, you know. But she got a warm, big heart. She said, no, I like to help the community. This is what you do. So she's helping us. And I think she's shaping up the school very well. It's coming up. And we don't see results so soon, you know. It'll get some time.
So it's a school, first and foremost, teaching the principles of Buddhism, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's bilingual. It's in line with the Australian curriculum. So that's why we have and Marianne to guide, you know, because it it's registered under the Education Ministry of Education. So it's just that it's bilingual.
So bilingual English and?
English and Chinese.
Mandarin,
yeah.
Uh-huh. And I know that we went out there to visit you not long after you'd opened, and there were people who'd come from Sydney and Melbourne. They'd moved to Toowoomba to send their children to the school. Is it growing? How many classes have you got now?
Yeah, it is. Now we have got 2 classes. It is growing, you know, and we hope to get more, as I said, you know. It takes some time. It's not something that you expect overnight. You need to build rapport, confidence. So it is growing in that sense. We are quite touched by the fact that some parents that have actually literally moved here. They have bought houses, they have stayed here, you know, because they feel that that's what they want for their children. And the opportunities are there. The opportunities are there.
If people are living in Toowoomba and they decided to send their... Can anybody go to the school?
Yes, of course. Anybody. It's open to anyone. We're not restricting to anyone. As long as you understand that this is bilingual, that's Mandarin and English, you know, and if you are comfortable for your child to go through that, yeah, you're most welcome.
It's incredible, isn't it?
I
Certainly
hope so.
the children were beautiful the day that we were out there.
Oh, they have improved a lot.
They've improved. Well, they were pretty well behaved the day that we were out there. So the Pure Land Learning College and all its different facets and all of its different campuses, like it exists, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, to provide a good learning environment for students who aspire to learn and practice Pure Land Buddhism and the teachings of the sages, and to train and nurture successors to continue the propagation of Buddhism. So it's really at its heart to teach the learnings of Buddha, isn't it?
Yes. For those who are interested, you know, if they want to, there are opportunities there. There is a platform for them.
So do you have classes for people who can come and try or see what it's about, or how do people find out about it?
No, we don't really have, but if those who are interested, they're always welcome. You know, they can come. There are people who can show them. There are people who sort of orientate them and give them that kind of a better insight, and then they can decide
what it's all about.
Yeah.
And do you still have the Tai Chi classes?
Oh no, we don't have anymore, because unfortunately the person who teaches Tai Chi, I think he has gone to another, I think probably he has gone to another suburb. So we have actually lost contact with him.
No more. What about the Pure Land Health Foods store? Does that still exist?
That's still there, the health food.
Where is it?
It's just behind Edmund Street, which is the same row as the where the park is and all that. So we do have people coming to buy, because all our vegetables are homegrown, so-called. They are organic. So we do have quite a good crowd coming to buy vegetables, vegetarian food. I see there is some growing numbers of people who wants to try, and I know of a few friends who say that I'm a vegetarian for 2 days, you know. I say, oh, that's good.
For 2 days. I don't know how much benefit you'd get from that. So tell me, Haniff, you said that you grew up in Singapore. what sort of family did you grow up in? Were you living in the city?
We were living in the city.
Anywhere rural?
We were living in the city. I grew up in a very big family. Okay?
When you say very big family,
yeah, I'm proud of that. I've got 13 brothers and sisters. So I'm the second eldest in the family. The eldest is my sister, who was a teacher. Of course, all of them retired now. And then, we made it in the sense, we were not fortunate enough in the sense because my father died at an earlier age. So by then, it was good that the family were together, sort of we help each other, and we are happy today because everybody is doing good, doing well, has got their own homes, got their family, got their grandchildren.
What about you? Do you have any grandchildren? And
yeah,
where
I have
they?
one.
Are they all in Singapore or are they out
They are
here?
in Perth.
In Perth.
See, I've got two daughters. Both of them graduated from Australia. One decides to stay here. The other one decides to go back. So the one who's staying here is in Perth. She married an Aussie. They settled in Perth, and I've got one grandson. The other one in Singapore has not decided yet. Well, nowadays you can't tell them, can you? You can't. They decide on their own life, But we still communicate. We communicate almost regularly, and we keep in touch with so much of technology today. Videos, phone calls, mails. So in that sense, even with my families and all that, we do keep abreast of what's happening. We exchange notes. It's a blessed family, I would say. Probably blessed from my father, that though he left us early, but he sort of taught us a lot of good values about togetherness, sharing and all that. So I think we went through some hard times, no doubt. Everyone goes through that, but it's a much better world for us today.
And do you think that's possibly where your desire to help people, do you think that?
Yes, I strongly felt that, this is what about, because even my father says, where you can help, you should help. And then when I joined Master Ching Kung, I realized that, hey, this is exactly what it's all about. It's just like, if you have something you can share, why do you want to keep it for yourself? Do you need more than what you need? So I think he sort of helped us to see through that. And it's all about, actually I say, it's all about education. Educating people to be human, to be good, to be righteous, to keep good values, practice A, B, C, D that is consistent with what makes the world better.
Beautifully said. And I'll just remind the listeners that they're with me, Megan O'Hara-Sullivan, and we're on Big Little Small Talk, and we're talking to Haniff, who is the director of Pure Land College Learning Centre. Haniff, I'm going to ask you these questions, and I don't ask you them flippantly because I can tell that you're such a deep thinker. Just before I do though, you being a Muslim and working in a Buddhist organisation, has it ever sort of challenged your values in your religion? And are you much more fluid with you don't have to be this or that, or with religion?
Well, it's a good question you ask. I think a couple of people have asked me. You see, Counselor, if you look at all the teachings of all the sages and all the religion, if you look deeply into it, 70 to 80% are similar. If there's any 20% is more on the culture, the tradition, the values, but it's all the same. So I find I fit well into anybody. Maybe probably I didn't tell you because I grew up, my mother was a Chinese. You see, my parents were from India. You see, my grandmother was a Catholic, So I have that benefit and I have that crew because even like back, when I go back and I see my cousins, they're all Christians, you see. But when we are together, there's nothing that, hey, we were just laughing and talking and then, holding hands and hugging each other and, talking about the family and then eating the food, There's no line there and say, hey, look, you're a Christian, I'm a Muslim, but we are cousins. We were binded by the fact that the grandmothers were brothers and sisters, that kind of things, So I don't feel that, because if I hold on, this is what the Master encourages. He says, look, you should study your religion deeper, then you will understand that similarity far outweigh that differences. So use that similarity to connect. Use that similarity to work with people.
So Haniff, my first question is, in 3 words, I am.
I'm Haniff, that's it.
I am Haniff.
Yes.
And you're the best Haniff that
Not the
there
best.
is.
I will try to be the best.
Very good. What about if I'm frightened of anything, it's what?
Well, it's quite common. I'm quite surprised lately. I wasn't like that. I'm quite frightened of heights now. But I wasn't like that. Maybe when I was young, who cares, that kind of thing.
And you've developed a fear of heights, have you?
Yeah, not really so much, but I try to manage it.
Right. Does that include flying?
No, flying is all right, perfectly all right. It's just like if I go right on top of the building and looking down, I have that little bit of fear.
That bit of, and that's probably not good in Singapore, I wouldn't imagine.
Oh yeah, it's all high rise. Oh.
It's all high rise.
High-rise.
All right. What about if Haniff could travel back in time? Where would he set the controls for?
I would set back my control to go back. I would want to go back to the high school, because I think that's the part that I won't say that I regret, but that's the part that I could have spent more time being a little bit more serious than being playful,
But do you think you had a bit of a misspent youth?
I wouldn't want to say that, but I would want to go back then. I think maybe I could be a little bit more better in terms of,
academically,
yeah.
Yeah. And what would you like to have achieved academically that would have changed the course of your life?
I would like to be somebody, say so for example, that I can help people to be better. Probably even in the medical terms, be a psychiatrist or be a doctor, so that I can work with people more. See.
Well, I don't think you're having a bad crack at it, really. I think you're doing fairly well.
I hope so.
What about your most favourite person in the entire universe? Who would that be?
In the entire universe? Well, I don't want to sound that I'm a little bit the other side of the view, but I would, for me personally, I would view the Prophet Muhammad, because I don't read too much, but there's so much to read, because his character, his behavior, his kind of way doing things, because when we read the stories, maybe I just give one example, like even when he has his meal and he found that the food is not salty enough, so he tells the wife and says, look, I like to have a little bit more of salt for today. Can I have some more salt? You see, that kind of, he doesn't sort of offend people, that kind of heart, So I think there's a lot we can learn. From me, I can learn from him. And to be a good person, to be a responsible person, and where he encompasses everybody, that treats everybody like a human. See, he was sitting down one day with his Sahaba, all his followers, and there was a hearse that passed,
A hearse?
Hearse.
Yeah.
So he stood up and paid his respect. So the left and right were asking him and said, Prophet Muhammad, why do you pay respect? That was the body of a Jew. He said, no, that's a human being. All right? So you see that kind of things? The answer is a very polite answer, it's a wise answer, and it's a straight, honest answer. Look, that is a human being. Why are we not respecting a human being? Mm-hmm. So that are examples that you want to see. You want a leader that set examples, very humble examples, and when you reflect back and say, look, that's what all about,
I like it. What about the last time I looked in the mirror? What did you think?
I think I'm aging. I think it's normal. I compared some pictures, or I say, oh my God, look at this and look at that. Look, I have how today.
I once heard someone said it's bad enough when you look in the mirror and you look like your mother, but when you look in the mirror and you look like your grandmother, that's bad. And I think if you look in the mirror and you look like your grandfather, that might be worse. Yes. Yeah. If you had to leave a body part to science, what would it be?
No, I want to qualify, and not being so-called hard in my views, but in our teachings, we don't encourage that, because we believe the body belongs back to where we come from, So I would prefer to go back in one shape, in that sense.
So is that about organ donation?
Yeah, it's about organ donation. But then there are people doing it now. You see, up to individual. There's nothing wrong. There are Muslims that donate their organs. There are. There's nothing wrong. But again, sometimes that individual believes, that, okay, I want to hold on to this. That's what, I would.
But that's not a hard and fast rule.
No.
Okay,
That's
interesting.
not hard and fast. No.
Yeah, interesting. This will be an interesting one. If life has taught me one lesson, it's what, Haniff?
Life has, there are many things that I have there, but if life has taught me something, I like to be more accommodating and accepting, because I find that the earlier part of my life, I have to say, sometimes I've been a little bit too prejudiced, not accepting people, not realizing. But then as I go along, I realize, no, that's not that norm, and that's not what my father taught us. But not to that extreme. It's just like, this person is like that. No, I don't think you should do that, It's just that my principles today, certain things I may not agree with that person, but I won't want to hate that person. Okay, I don't agree with you, I don't like that, but I'm not going to hate you. All right? You're still a friend, but it's just that, you have your views, I have mine. But something that is both can take the middle path, let's work on that. But I told myself, never hate a person.
I don't think hate would be part of your vocabulary somehow or other.
No, I don't want that. Yeah. It's never in my vocabulary.
What about if you just cannot find something to like about that person?
I just dissociate myself. I keep away from that person, But that doesn't mean that I have to show it to everybody, Even if I meet him somewhere, I'll still talk to him. We still shake hands, we still ask about the family, but I'll keep away from him. I don't want to be a hypocrite. For example, if he offered to have a meal with me, probably I'll say, no, I'm sorry, I can't, I have something else. Because it's no point forcing myself to enjoy a meal with you when I know I don't sort of agree with you on certain things, or put it that I don't like you, but I don't want to hate you. But outside, hey, you are still part of us. I still look at you as a human being, because we can still get along. There are other things common things that we can do together.
Wise words indeed, Haniff. Okay, well, I'm going to go on to the last, almost seems a bit frivolous to ask you this. Who's your most favourite royal person, Haniff?
Well, I like that because, but you did say it doesn't have to be the royal family, right?
It doesn't have to be British, and they don't have to be living.
Living, yeah. Currently, from what I have studied and what I've been following, you may not, I like the Sultan of Johor.
Tell me more.
I think he is very, very down to earth, very accommodating.
Where is he from?
Malaysia.
Malaysia.
But Malaysia has got 12 states, 13 states. He's from the southern one that is joined to Singapore by the causeway, the Sultan of Johor, who will be the next king next year. I think he has a heart, and he is very frank, and he doesn't put his royalty as a pressure on others. He sees things like, hey, this is not right. You cannot do this. Why do you hate a person for? He doesn't impose. He says that because you listen to me because I'm the king. No, I'm saying that this is a human language. So I think that has somehow captures me a lot. And I've been looking at his actions, seeing things he does, and even the last few days, certain things he says about why have so much of hatred for each other. Why is politics so dirty? He says, don't bring politics to my state. Keep out of my state, which is very strong for him to say, because I'm sure the politician may not like him. I don't know. I can't speak for Malaysia. But he's somebody whom I look upon, and I think his wisdom will help the country when he becomes the king. Because it's important, because sometimes there are certain, say for example in Malaysia, there are certain set rules like you don't do anything that is treason to the royal family. So I think that will help a lot. And I think he can be a binding factor to bring everyone together. And you see, the most recent one, he spoke about China. He said, how much you can learn from China? How much wisdom they have? How much the dynasty and how much my great-grandfather has connection with China? He said, look, you see how they appreciate each other. So why are we not doing that?
Wow, that's a whole other program, I think.
It is.
Haniff.
He's totally out of that. The way he spoke, I think he shocked some of those hardliners, all that. I don't know, ultra or whatever.
Well, unfortunately, we might have to revisit that, but unfortunately I've run out of time. My very last question is, what's the song that can't keep you off the dance floor, Haniff?
I like that. Oh, Sweet Caroline.
A little bit of Neil Diamond goes a long way for everyone.
Very well, because I can keep on hearing and I enjoy it, because I think the lyrics are beautiful. Hands, touching hands, and all that. Oh my God!
Reaching out.
It's something to do with all values. That's what you should do. Music is a therapy. Music is just like food, connects people. Music brings some element of joy and happiness to you.
Well, I'll tell you what's brought me joy and happiness. It's spending 50 minutes with you. So thank you very much for being my guest on Big Little Small Talk. It's been a joy to listen to your humility and your deep sense of humanity, Haniff. Thank you.
I think I'm learning from everyone. It's just like, you see, Councillor, you have been exceptionally kind.
That's it for this week. Thanks for joining me on Big Little Small Talk. I hope you can make the time to join me next week. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favourite podcast app.
Share the richness and beauty of our diverse community of beliefs, customs and practices in the wonderful city of Toowoomba. Voices of faith will inspire and uplift you and may even change your life. Tune to 102.7 FM each Sunday and Friday night from 6 for Voices of Faith, sponsored by Pure Land Learning College Association, and give them your comments by emailing them on mfmcc.pllc@gmail.com. They look forward to hearing from you.